the California heat has come to the tri-state area. Jesus Christ. It was like 91 for several of the days when I was in California, and now it's back here on the East Coast. So, multiple fans going on, me, am back from Monsterpalooza. The the trip that kept trying to not happen, and I'll go into that towards the end of the video. Let's just talk about the positives right now. So this year, like I said, was really hard to was the universe didn't want this trip to happen. But anyway, so this was technically our 10th year going to Monsterpalooza, even though we skipped 2016. But me and my bestie Paul, 10 years ago, I was like, I really want to check this thing out. It's in California, never been on a plane, never been to California, and I'm just like, and this is when it was like small and Burbank and like the little Marriott where they have like Sun on Monsterpalooza every year. But before it was just both, like the normal one and then the smaller one in the same thing. And, first time on a plane, we went there, we're in Burbank, California, Burbank, California. We have 2 Holiday Inns, and I really enjoyed it, but it was just so small. And I was like, it's not really worth flying all the way there, because in like not even 20 minutes you walk around the whole thing, you see everything. It's for a whole damn weekend. You're just like, I don't fucking know what else to do. So the next year we skipped it, and of course 2016 they were like, hey, we're gonna bring it to the Pasadena Convention Center. And I'm like, really? I had like planned, okay, what I mean? So, and then this year they expanded it more, because they usually have in like that one spot in the Pasadena Convention Center. Then there's like that little building that's next to it, but it's usually like photo op and like the theater, for panels and movie screenings and stuff. But this year they like opened it up, and there's more vendors there. There was a lot of there was also different vendors. There's vendors that I was actually surprised weren't there. So the main 2 vendors was Delum brushes and then Titanic brushes. Those 2 brushes I was actually surprised weren't. They usually have like, even if it's not like a full fuck off booth, at least like, like a table with stuff. So I was actually surprised neither of them are there, because I like use both of their brushes a lot, especially Delum, because they have like the specific like gluing brushes and then the like glue removal brush. Those are really fucking good, because they last, from gluing and ungluing and all that stuff, and through all like, cleaning them and stuff. Because before I would use just these other brushes, and I'm just like, just like, well, that just fell apart. A little bit more apparel this year. It kind of reminded me of like Dark Force of this year, where it was like, oh, there's just a little bit more apparel, which again is fine. So initially, because it's like 10th year anniversary of us going to Monsterpalooza, I was gonna be like, oh, we're gonna redo what I did the first time I went, which was doing the Twilight Zone Eye of the Beholder makeup, which I did 10 years ago. Not the best prosthetic. I also like didn't even like have freaking cobble patch to like, blend the edges. I was just like, you're right, just stick it on to be fine. I don't know what I was thinking. When you do something and you're like, I got it, and then the when it comes to doing it, you're like, wait, I don't have the items I need. Like, you just like forgot. Yeah, so this time I was like, all right, I'm gonna do the makeup on Paul and instead of myself, because that also like, issues we're trying to see 360 and all that stuff. And then instead, whatever I sculpt on him, I just do a mask on myself. So yeah, did the makeup on him. That was very successful. Had a lot of, great compliments about the blending, about the color matching. And I'm like, yes, I know, I'm really good at, color matching. That's my thing. Like, I'm not the best at sculpting. Mold making, I definitely need to get better at. I've gotten better. But yeah, painting is my thing. When I was in special effects class, it was like, the teacher, like when people were trying to get like their base coat, the teacher would just be like, ask Joe. And I was like, I got it. There's your color, and it was just like, the fuck, yeah. So a bitch could paint, but, sculpting, I still need to get better at, which again, I am a lot better than before. Definitely, God, 10 years ago, definitely a lot. Before mold making, I've definitely upped my game. It's definitely has gone a lot better, but my Hellboy one I did run into a mistake, which I didn't realize until after the fact, because again, I was in a hurry. So the Hellboy one, resculpting it, because again, we did this, you know, like, god damn it, when was 2018? It's like 2018 when we did that thing. So, you know, many years ago, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna redo it, because before the makeup was just from here to like up here, and then I had to do all this blending, you know, and then I put the hair on. So this time I was like, no, I'm gonna do like all like half your head, because then like the hair goes around, could cover up a lot of stuff. I don't have to do blending because the hair, you know, so it saves a lot. So I casted, Paul's head, all that stuff. That was great. Good casting. I sculpted it. Amazing sculpt. I was very proud of myself with that sculpt. It was good. It was very symmetrical. I'm very bad at symmetry. Did all that stuff. Did the mold. And then when it came to demolding, I realized I had locked the mold, which meant that I couldn't take it apart, because instead of what I did was, Paul's head, and then I did the sculpture, and then I did the mold on top. What I should have done was split it in half and did a mold one side and a mold another side, and open it that way, because that would have worked. But now I was trying to pull his like head cast out, wouldn't come out. So out of frustration, I slammed it on my garage floor several times, bust out a bajillion pieces, glued the freaking sculpt back, because I had no time to do any resculpting, remolding. There was no time. Glued it back together, and then I realized I glued it together, and then I chopped the mold. Instead of down this way, I just cut like the back end, so I could kind of like slip the head in and out, like, so it kind of like locks in and pulls out really easily. Again, not the smartest thing, but again, it's like, oh, we are like 2 weeks out from the day we fly out, you know what I mean? And it's like, the prosthetic hasn't even been pulled yet, which means that means painting hasn't been done yet. Haven't even started packing, very crazy. So finally poured the little bit of like cold foam mix I have. I was like, I'm gonna do this X amount of times, and however it comes out, whichever one comes out the best is what I'll like patch up and paint, and that's what I did. It didn't, cure the best, and a lot of the detail in the horns and stuff were not there, Did all that, patched a bunch of shit together, painted it, we're packing up, we're going, applied it onto him. I mean, the rest is history. We end up getting to the convention, of course, putting it on him, and putting on him not that long. It didn't take long to put all that stuff on him. It took longer to put the lenses in the dude than it was to do the prosthetic and the hair and painting it, I mean? Not really, but like, it was just like me having to like pry open his eye and being like, 1 lens, 2 lens, because he was just like, it's not happening, it's not working, I don't know why, it's not working, I don't know, dude, I don't know why it's not working. And then I was just like, open your eye! And I was like, and I'd be like, look this way, blah, 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 slowly close your eye, blah, like drill sergeant at him, and then he was just like, all right, we're good. Painted, like, did them all nice and red. He put on his costume, I put on a pretty lip, and then we were out the door. We met freaking Ron Perlman, finally. That was mainly the whole reason for the trip, like I said, the whole world, like the whole universe wanted us to cancel the trip because of all the snafu. And you see there's him signing my director's cut DVD, because we're in that age. But yeah, met Ron Perlman, mission accomplished. And also, like I said, because there's constant things not wanting to happen, we get there, we get to the convention center, and then the person is like, the line's capped. And I'm like, girl, it is like freaking noon. What do you mean the line is capped? She's like, well, Ron Perlman and friends are having a panel right now, and then they have a photo op, and da-da-da. So it's gonna be a minute, and come back at 2. And I'm like, 2? So fine. We walk around the convention center, got a lot of people being like, holy shit, all that stuff, and being like, yes, I did it. We get to the theater, Ron Perlman and Doug Jones and other makeup artists, they're talking about, stuff. So we're there for the panel for like, probably like good 30 minutes. We weren't there for that long, We got there, they were like playing like the trailer for the first Hellboy, and then we were just like, listening to a little bit more. And so, like I said, we were just there for probably about like a good like 30 minutes, 45. Then we like walk back to the line, and the person's like, it's not 2 yet, guys. But it was like 1:55, so we're all just like standing in front of her, just like, just like waiting, like, I'll wait. And then we're getting in line, right? And because the line was already long, and funny enough, when we first got there, and when we got like, kind of told like, nah, the line is capped, people in line kind of look like, you're gonna let the guy who looks like Hellboy not get in line, and it's like, I get it, they have the rules, they obviously they let us in line. We're in line, and like I said, the line was already long, so we had to then, offshoot outside. So once we get outside and you hear the woman go, it's X amount for autographs, X amount for autograph and a photo, cash only. And I was just like, I left my cash in the hotel, and like I had like $3, in cash. And I was like, fuck. So then I was like, whatever shit I had, I just like handed to Paul. I just like had my parasol because fuck off bright, and I like ran to the fucking hotel, which wasn't that far, but felt far. You know what I mean? Like running back. My fat ass was running, and like I said, this is California, so I think people aren't used to seeing fat people running, like fat people in general, and then fat people running in California. And so some dude walked into like a street sign because my fat ass was running, So I was like, I ran, I jaywalked, I saw LAPD, and I was like, bye, do what you want to do. I'm running, get into the hotel, go upstairs. The cleaning lady was there. I run in. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like opening the safe, getting my money out. And she's like, can I see your room key? She sees a room key, tests it out to make sure, it unlocks the door. And she goes, okay. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like I did, because also like I ran in, I said, I kind of scared her. So she was just kind of like, I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then like I run back, I, get in the elevator all the way down. And then I'm like running out again with parasol too, because remember, blazing fucking sunlight with the parasol. Just light. At this point, I was like, okay, I'm doing like a light jog, brisk walk, because I'm like, I can't expel any more energy, because I feel like, because of my fat ass, I feel like if I were to, by the time I get to the convention, because of it being hot, not the fact that I'm fat. I used to be an athlete, goddammit. There was a short time, but I think I would have just been like, done. So, I'm walking, speed walking, and then instead of going into the main entrance of the convention center, I went around outside, where everyone was waiting, and then I like hopped in. I said, sorry, my friend was in line. I'm sorry, because I couldn't find him. I found other people dressed as Hellboy, and I'm like, how do you miss a freaking 6 foot tall freaking black dude dressed as So I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm not cutting in line, my friend. And like Paul's like inside, and I go, and I'm like, I'm here, I have the money. And he's like, and it was funny because like, as I said that, then my phone buzzes, and it's him texting me being like, dude, you good? The line's moving. And I'm like, just dying, just just whatever water we had. Yeah, we met him. Like I said, it was great, lovely man, so yay. Maybe one day I'll meet Guillermo del Toro. I mean, I was in the same room as him, when Shape of Water came out, and I was, at that screening, and then I was just like sitting like that, because I can't, because I'm so mentally ill. I'm just like, people were like, did you ask him questions? No, because I'd be like, I just give him, it's too I wouldn't, girl, I was a mess. I was by myself too, so there was no way I would have the confidence to ask, how are you so good at, like, no. So, other things I bought, I got a bunch of VHS tapes because, when you get to that age and you're just buying, like, your childhood. So I have 1989 Batman. I don't know, I think I might own this already, but doesn't hurt to have an extra copy, We have Vertigo, which is great. There was one table I think had like laser discs, but I kind of was like, okay, I can't own a format that I don't have the thing. Like I have a VCR, so that's why I have this. That's why I have DVDs and Blu-rays, because I have the thing. Yeah. Anyway, wait, no, that was Amoeba. I was at Amoeba. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Anyway, Fight Club, because I have the special edition DVD, but you know, you gotta have it in the VHS, you know. Oh, bonus footage behind the brawl. Gotta love this. Oh my god. I don't even know if these are like, are these have to be in widescreen. This film was modified from its original version and has been formatted to fit your screen. Oh, it's a square. It's a square. It's not widescreen. Ah, that's one thing that sucks about that. Does it say it on this one? Because some of them they're like, nah, I don't care. We're just gonna put the freaking letterbox bars anyway. And then Blair Witch Project, you know, you gotta love the Blair Witch Project because, you know, as an old person, I remember when this came out and people really thought they put a snuff film out for people to watch, because it was only available in like indie like film movie theaters, you know, so obviously it would be like a lot of college theaters. You know, you couldn't see it at the time. I think like Lowe's exists, but now it was like then AMC bought them out. But you know, you couldn't go see it at like the regular movie theater. You had to go, and it would always be like the longest line, and then there was like cases of people vomiting and all that stuff. And I was like, how scary is this movie? No, it's the shaky cam. It's the shaky cam, and also like Heather's face, you know, all that stuff. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I went to. Oh god, that's falling out. I went to that booth. I missed that booth until the last day, but anyway, I got my amoeba thing. Well, I bought the substance. They also maybe because it's put out by Mubi. Why is this $30-something? Like why is this $30-something, Mubi? And also like I think it's just a Blu-ray, so I don't even think I get like a digital copy of this. Like, Mubi, what are you doing? I don't even use Mubi. I use Tubi. You know, it's on Poop. It's on Doobles. It's on Streamafarbins. You know, anyway. So funny enough, I remember last year I said I was looking for The Fear of Fear, but instead I found Eternal Blue, and I jokingly said, oh, it'd be funny if I'm looking for whatever I'm looking for and then find The Fear of Fear. Look at that spirit box. Funny enough, this time I was actually looking for the Fear of Fear EP. So it was funny. It's like, well, maybe next year I'll find the Fear of Fear EP. Just a regular black vinyl. I mean, of course, you know, I want the funky vinyls, but whatever, as long as it plays. You know, I have Tsunami Sea already. That I pre-ordered. That I was like, all right, you know, Spirit Box. I already love you, and I should have learned to have pre-ordered all these. But anyway, so more stuff I bought. So last year, I bought a nozzle from the airbrush people, and I bought the wrong one. It was my mistake, because I just said, oh, I have one of these guns. It's not their fucking fault. So my dumbass just bought the wrong one, because I brought it home, and I was like, because funny enough, I was like working on the freaking, not last year, the year before, because I was working on the Dune Worm, because I did the fitting last year, because the person was LA based, so I brought it to, oh my god, I had that in my suitcase as well, Jesus Christ, the Dune Worm, and I was gonna, you know, airbrush it and all that shit, and I popped the nozzle in, well, I tried to, and I was like, why is it so fucking small? It's like, well, I realized I got the wrong one, so then, this time I got the right one, hopefully, you know, because I had it saved on my Amazon cart, and so I pretty much just like showed it to the woman. I'm like, do you have this? And she's like, yes, you know, and might as well buy it directly from the vendor than buy it on Amazon, you know what I mean? I mean, my gun is the titanium whatever, so, you know, it should be fine. It should be fine. Again, if it's an issue, then, you know, I'll just have another extra thing, you know, anyway. So, of course, I gotta go to the PPI booth because it's the biggest fucking booth and does all the demos. And then and also because these palettes are, you gotta love show prices. Because back in the day when I started doing effects, these were like, I think, $50, $55 a palette. Then it went up to 60. They're now, I think they're probably like 80. I don't know. I think this was like 70. They are, you know, not cheap. But I got character contours, and mainly because look at these colors, look at that, like these two is what kind of sold me on it, which is like dark purple taupe, golden taupe, warm taupe, gray taupe, olive taupe, lots of taupes, but these are really good if you want to do like like liver spots and like light bruising. Like, you know how like weirdly discolored old people are, kind of thing. You know, like if someone is like a druggie, and they're like just pretty much like discoloration of the skin. You know, if someone's like not like perfect, all that stuff. You know, you could even do maybe like some like acne scarring and stuff. So like I saw this, I was like, well, I'll need it, you know. And then on to regular straight makeup. Ugh. I had no idea that Black Moon Cosmetics was gonna be there. They were like, well, we posted all over, you know, Instagram, and I literally said, bitch the algorithm. Because I didn't see it until I searched for them, and then I went, okay, they did post, you know, and then, of course, because then I searched for it, then the algorithm was like, oh, you want to see more of them? I'm like, and it's funny, because I normally do see their posts, but, bitch. Anyway, so I ended up buying Mon Cher, if I can focus on it, which is a red lipstick and a black lipstick. Here we go. Yeah. So, yeah, so we got a red and a black, and it's like super, like pretty red and super black. So, got that. That's awesome. And then I decided to like, where is it? I decided to buy some lashes. I'm not really a lashes bitch. And I, you know, normally if I do makeup, I don't put on lashes. Like, the only time I put on lashes is like when I'm doing like cosplay, you know, to be a woman or something. But normally I don't bother with lashes. But because all their lashes are based on like the zodiac sign, so I had to get mine, which is, they said Scorpio, so I'm a Scorpio, and that's why everyone hates me, because I'm a Scorpio and I'm such a bitch. Anyway, these are actually like pretty cool. I call them like starter Trixie Mattels, because they're big, but they're not like, I mean, hers are like, you know. But yeah, I think that's everything I bought. Then pretty much the drama about why this thing almost didn't happen. So after all the prosthetic stuff was finally done, and like we're doing live, all the painted, packed, we're good. I got called in to work. I was like, yes, gotta get some money after not working and then working, not working. A lot of that shit happening. May was not great. June is starting off as anyway. So we're fine. Boom. And then, thank fucking Christ for having immense OCD like I do. And I was checking my finances, and I was paying off stuff. I had a market. I did Luna Fair the past Sunday, the Sunday right before. So I'm just like paying some stuff off. And I noticed on my credit card, I was like, why did the airline refund me back, you know, like this amount? I'm like, wait, go on the airline. I checked the itinerary. I'm like, no, it's still there. Like, we're still there. And then I was like, where's Paul? Paul's name is missing from, like, from nothing. He's not there. I get on the virtual chat. I'm like, hey, what up? Why is my friend missing from my itinerary? And they said, well, we removed him because of a suspicious activity. And I'm like, what do you mean suspicious activity? I booked the flight with my credit card. It's not fraud. It's not me. And they're like, oh, well, they had another flight that they recently took, and da-da-da. And it's like, he had an emergency, like, family thing, and he had to, like, fly to Guyana. And he flew on the same airline. And apparently they were like, he's like, suspect. The dude doesn't do anything wrong, man. You know, like, he's got, like, more jobs than I do, you know what I mean? Like, the only crime he has is not sleeping enough, you know, because he has so many jobs. It's like, what the fuck? And then, you know, I'm trying to get more information. They're like, and I also was like, well, why didn't you tell me? And they're like, oh, it doesn't involve you. And I'm like, yes, it does! I freaking bought the tickets! I would like to know if the person I bought the tickets with wasn't gonna be on the flight. Could you imagine if my fucking ass did not check things and double check, triple check, fucking OCD, if I didn't do all that, could you imagine that Thursday morning getting to Newark Airport and then going to check in and only seeing my name there? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I would have just broke down in tears at the freaking terminal. I would have just broke down in tears. You know, he's figuring whatever that is out, like why he was put as suspicious and all that BS. He's gonna figure that out. But I ended up having to last minute book him a new flight, like through a different airline with like similar times, like just dropping everything with similar times, you know, to and from. And it was like freaking insane. It also cost like an like, because it's like I booked it, you know, the day before, so of course, no matter what, on fucking Spirit of all things, it was still like an atrocious amount. Spirit, because I think Spirit lets like even felons like fly, even if someone's on a no-fly list, they're like, it's Spirit, whatever, you know, we don't have seatbelts, we got folding chairs in the back, you know what I mean? Like there was like that video that Deez and Mero talked about where like the woman had like a tray of like a seafood broil. How'd you get that through TSA, you know? So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna put you on that. I'm gonna put you on that. Really, like, the world did not want us to go on this trip. I know maybe financially that probably wasn't the wisest thing to do, but it's also like this is like the, you know, Monsterpalooza is like the trip I take, you know, yearly, like to network and, you know, show my shit to people, you know? Yeah, squeaky wheels, but like, you know, anyway, I have an Etsy if you want to buy my art. You could donate directly to my Venmo, and then I have a Patreon where I talk about my experiences doing markets and then how I make my art if you give a fuck. But anyway, goodbye for now.